So welcome everyone to Shakti. Let's have a comfortable seat and get started. Close the eyes and let the elbows feel heavy. Turn the palms up and notice the front of the body become more expansive. Let the breath move into the belly. Maybe you'll feel expansion in the side ribs, front and back of the body. Let the breath anchor you, help you to stay focused and energized from the inside out. Now just check in with yourself this morning. What's going on? Thinking about sleep. How much sleep did you have last night? And what kind of sleep did you have? And do you have the energy this morning for maybe a class or the rest of your day? And checking in with any physical thing, maybe joints, muscles, any sensation you're noticing that you need to be aware of. And we just take stock. No right, no wrong, no good, no bad, just where we are. Let's bring the hands together. Palms touch the breastbone, thumbs touch the breastbone, and then sliding the breastbone or the fingers up the breastbone until you feel the front of your body float upward. Once you feel that, you might notice your shoulders release, space in the neck, and then the head can bow. Taking just a moment for any intention. And whatever it is you need, let the class be exactly that. Take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, you can softly release the hands and open the eyes. All right, so last week we started on the floor and we worked with all of that core stabilization. And I hope if that was helpful to you, you practiced it, because we're going to continue to reference that over and over and over again. So let's start standing today. And we'll just quickly go through it in a standing posture. And what I'd like you to do is get your blocks if you're going to use them for stabilizing your lower core. Okay. So stabilizing your lower core, what do I mean by that? It means if you put your something between your legs, and you don't have to put anything between your legs, but you do have to have an understanding of how are you going to pull these legs and the energy in. Because if you're not doing that, the base of your pelvis, women know it as our pelvic floor, but men have them also, it's not engaged. And so from the inside out, you're not really working. So think about squeezing the block, finding that core pelvic floor, lifting slightly, navel to spine, lifting up, rib cage engaged. So in my body, I tend to want to throw my body forward because that's sort of my old habit from riding horses and standing on my toes. I walked around on my toes until I was about 12. So I threw my belly forward and I created this arched up back that everybody thought was so cute, but it's really not good for you. So keep those ribs engaged. Keep this part of the action. All right. So just a couple of things to pay attention to. Lift your toes. Make sure you're not hanging out in the front of your body, that you're making the back body work. And then bend the knees and hinge. We've been going over this the last couple of weeks. So I moved my knee and I moved my hip, but I didn't move the rest of me. Come to stand. And now hinge without bending the knees. This is a different movement. Good. Come on up. And then squat. come back up and hinge. So I want you to get this in your body. The lower back and the core body should not move in any of this action. And it's up to you to pay attention to that. And what I want you to do is when we come to the hinge the next time, we're going to stay there. Go ahead and fold forward and stay. And then I want you to straighten your legs all the way and see if anything happens in your lower back. And then soften your knees and see if anything happens in your lower back. You might be able to do both of those fine. You might need to do one or the other. All right, then take your arms behind you, reach to the wall behind you, engaging your back body. So you're going to inhale, squat, and reach. Exhale, hinge, and reach behind you. Squat, and hinge. So then when we start to get the legs and the arms working together, sometimes this core body goes, I forgot what I'm doing. So keep checking yourself. These are just warm-up moves. And if your lower back starts to get tired, re-engage that lower pelvis and navel. You might have let go of it. Last time, we're going to hold here. Shoulders come to the back body. See if you can lift your arms without changing your lower spine. Navel to spine. Do not tuck the tail. If you're doing this well, you probably are getting a little bit not breathless, but just paying attention. There's something happening. So stand and release your arms, and then sit and bring your arms back up. Stand, squeeze the block, and sit. So we're combining a bunch of different movements that we typically do. The next time we stand, the heels come off the floor. So stand, lift the heels, lower, squat. Stand, heels, lower, squat. How are we doing with all that? Lift, down, squat. And it's fluid, right? You don't feel congested. Whenever your hands go over your head, it's always harder. So just check out and see. Last time, stay off your heels, balance. Squeeze the block, navel to spine. Ribs are engaged. Take one more breath. And then release it and let it go. Okay, we can keep the block. Just going to go over a couple of moves here. So one hand on your waist, other hand down on by your side. You're going to do a lateral movement without moving your legs. Come back and bring your arm about halfway out, and then cross your midline and pull back like you're rowing. Do all that again. Up. And now this time pull down, cross over midline, and row back. One more time. Getting this in your body. This is going to come back later. Checking in to make sure your legs aren't moving. Crisscross and row. Good. Just switch your arms. Up and over and pull down. Cross over midline and pull back. So think of rowing. Up and over, big lateral movement. Pull down from that lateral movement. Good. Reach across the body and pull back. One more time. Reach up and pull back and reach across and pull back. Great. I call this the cheerleader move. One arm goes up, one arm goes to the side. Change. Change. I was a cheerleader when I was in junior high. Were you ever cheerleaders? Lupo was a cheerleader. All right, so we're going to do one on each side, and then we're going to bring the hands in, and we're going to hinge, squat, and press behind you. Up, cheerleader, cheerleader, in, squat, press behind. Up, cheerleader, cheerleader, in, press behind. Terrific. One more press, one more squeeze, and then come to standing. Take the block away. A little bit more warm up, and then we'll get moving. Stand at the top of your mat. Take a nice inhale. Bring your arms up over your head. Big reach. Fold forward. Soften those knees. Remember that spine. You don't let go of it until you get all the way over here. And then try to straighten one leg and then another. Don't do it too aggressively. Just see how it feels. Fingertips out on the mat. So you're stretching way out, and I want you to come up off your heels. Think about your sitting bones lifting up. Now drop one heel and lift it, and drop the other heel and lift it and lift it. Good. And then drop both heels down, plant your hands, and go back into a plank pose. And your first plank pose can be on your knees. That's fine. I just want you to feel where you are. Last week we talked about taking this movement from the floor. So can you find your navel and lift it up and towards your spine? Can you keep your ribs engaged? Can you find the imaginary block and squeeze it? Can you keep your shoulders on your back? Good. Knees down for our first one. Lower all the way to the floor. Keep your hands where they are. Flatten your feet. Shoulders on your back. Baby cobra. Check in with what your body's doing today. So take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, look over your left shoulder, like you're trying to see your left foot. Inhale, come to center. Look over your right shoulder. Which way do you have more room? Inhale, center. Exhale, left shoulder. I'm much more free turning to my right. Last time each side. You don't have to go high here. My belly's on the floor. I'm in a mild back bend. Exhale. Good. Lower down. Slide your hands by your ribs. Squeeze your shoulder blades. Lift your belly. Push yourself straight off the floor and go to downward facing dog. Take about 3 breaths here. Downward facing dog. And then walk to the front of your mat. Inhale, come halfway up and send those fingers to the wall behind you. So hinging, lower down, soft knees. Hinging again, arms behind you. This time, sweep the arms out to the side like you're an airplane. And then release down. Last one, halfway up, arms back. Try the arms like airplanes. See if you can take your arms over your head. That's a big challenge. Inhale, come to standing. And exhale down. So remember, anything over your head, harder. All right, let's pick up our weights. Let's pick up our weights. So we're going to go right away to the beginning of that warm up. And if you want to use your block to keep the awareness into this lower, I'm going to call this the lower core, right? How do you get this lower core engaged? Well, you can use your legs and then it'll kick in. All right, so weights on one, each hand. Stand up in Tadasana, feet underneath you. Really be clear about how you're standing because that's your foundation. All right, so we're going to start with that lateral move. So bring your hand to your shoulder. You're going to go up and over, stretch, pull down. Let's do that twice more. Up and over, stretch. And you got weight in your hand this time, so check in with yourself. Up and over, pull down. Now go cross the body. Cross and pull back. Good. Cross. Try not to move your legs. That's the whole reason why you have the block. And cross. Now do one of each. Go reach and pull down so you feel that contraction. Reach across. Pull back so you feel the contraction. Reach over and in and reach. And I'm looking at the screen and I just noticed that somebody's got their hand up. So is there a question that I missed? And reach and pull. Go ahead and pause. Other side, bring it to your shoulder. Go up and over. Pull down. So 2 more like that on this side. Up and over. And pull. So we're working the lateral body here. And then now crisscross, twist a little, and pull back. Good, twist a little. And you can let your upper body move, but just don't move your legs. How much movement do you have? Now go 1 up and 1 cross. reach over and pull down, reach across and pull back, up and over and pull down, reach across and pull back. Last one, up and over, pull down, across and pull back. Nice job. Bring your arms to your side. Bring your weights to your shoulders. Think about that cheerleader move. A little bit harder. One arm up, one arm out. Come back to center. One arm up, one arm out. Come back to center. Hinge and extend the arms back for a tricep. Come back up. Do it again. One arm up, one arm out. And center. One arm up, one arm out. And center. Hinge and squat, press back. Good. Keep going. So you're working in this really odd range. Your body's not really used to it. And it's like, what am I doing? Rest. And come to center. And if you happen to notice that you always start with the same arm up and the same arm out, try to challenge yourself and push. And you can play with where your hands go. So if your palms are facing forward, it's going to feel one way. If your palms are facing up, it's going to feel a different way. I don't really like to dictate so much that. One more time, up and in and up and in, and then we're going to press back and stay. And I want you to be in a squat here, so make sure you're bending both knees. We're going to do 4 extensions, push back. This is a closer in movement, so if you have heavier weights, you can use them. And 3 and 4. Now bring your hands to your shoulders and press down and pull back for 4. And down and pull back for 4. Remember, the rib cage is engaged. Now do 1 of each. Press back, come in, reach down, pull back. Press back, down, pull back. Keep squeezing the legs and in. We've got 1 more. Push, in, reach down and pull. Good. With the pull, stand. Put both weights in one hand or put a heavy weight in your hand if you're using different sizes. I want you to keep this block. I want you to keep the awareness of the core. We're going to lift the heels off the floor, keeping the shoulders nice and open. So you can let this other hand rest, do whatever. So you're going to lift the heels and lower the heels. Now you've got one, weights are in one side, so you're going to notice different sensations. Now curl to the shoulder and lower to the floor. Heels are off the floor and heels are on the floor. See how smooth you can make it. How smooth can you make it? And lift. Keep the core body engaged. So when you're balancing, your hips will want to go forward. I don't really understand why, but it does. So you want to keep this front body really active. Ribs are in, belly's in. We worked on this before. And when we do one side of the body at a time, the body has to pay attention. Good. Settle down. Now, I want you to hinge, not squat, hinge. And then remember in the beginning, I said straighten the legs or bend the knees. You decide which one you're going to do. Take the other hand up to your lower back. This hand's going to row. So roll shoulders back. You're going to go down and row, holding on to this hinge. All right, so we're working both legs, hamstrings, all the way up into the glutes. Make sure your lower belly is engaged. So we're working bilaterally on the top half, but unilaterally on the bottom half. And don't be afraid to squeeze that shoulder blade in there. I'm really wanting you to work that back. One more time. And then just put the weights to your chest, hold them close to you, and I want you to go up and down 4 times. So hinging and down. You don't want to change your legs, whatever you've decided to do, and it's okay to do a little baby back bend. Last one. And up. Okay, other side. Switch your hands. So when you're on one side, it's going to want to pull you, right? So pay attention, core body engaged, and start with heels up and down. So keep thinking about the box. Remember, this is your little box, the ribs and the hip bones, and this is your big box. And you're trying to keep it all stationary and still. Now add the curl, slow and controlled. And you can usually use heavier weight with curls and rows because our bodies are stronger in this way. And down and up. Keep squeezing the block, especially when you go up. All right, because that's going to keep this lower core engaged. And up and down. So working the calves. I don't know if you can feel that. And up. And let's do one more. And lift. And lower. Good. And now go back to the hinge. So hinging over. And the hinge, you stop when you feel the stretch in your hamstring. Pull the shoulder up by, or hand up by your ribs, and then row up. So we're trying to hold a hinge while we do the upper body movement. And if you don't feel your hamstrings working, you're not down far enough. I don't want you to go down so far that you round your back, but your hamstrings should be working here. Down and up. And up. Down and up. So that's 2. And one more. Down. And then hold the weights right at your chest. And we're going to hinge stand for 4. And down. Now this is why you do hinge work and squat work, because it works your back body. Right? We just did the whole back body. One more time. All right, and then come all the way to standing. Let's get rid of the block. Put the weights down on the floor and come to the top of your mat. So did you feel that? Did you feel those hamstrings working? At the top of your mat, take a nice deep breath, bring your arms up over your head. Exhale, fold forward. So we're stretching the back body now. Lift your heels like we did in the beginning. Walk your fingers a little forward. Lift your heels and then try to drop one. And lift it. Drop one. And lift it. Knees can be bent here. One more time. And drop. And lift. And then lower both. Plant your hands and go back to plank number 2. Now separate your feet a little. Keep your core body engaged, and we're going to just drop the heels to the right. So your belly button's twisting a little to the left. Keep your chest still. And you should feel your obliques kick in. Inhale, come back to center. And then go to the left. So notice I'm not dropping my pelvis. I'm not trying to twist or come off one hand. I'm just trying to engage my obliques as much as I can. Come back to center and then go back to downward facing dog. This is your rest. Take about 3 breaths. Noticing anything that's happening in the body. And then this time we're going to come forward instead of standing. Knees up or down for the forward down motion. Land on the floor. Point your toes, shoulders on your back, cobra number 2. Now this time I want you to take your hands behind you. You can interlace your fingers if you've got that freedom, or just leave your hands apart, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and if you feel like you can, lift your feet. So this is Shalambhasan. Taking a moment here just to make sure your back is happy. Exhale, belly button to spine, and down. Hands by your ribs. So important. Shoulders on your back. Lift your belly and then push straight up off the floor. Go back to downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths. And then exhale, walk yourself to the front of the mat. Inhale, come halfway up, push your hands to the wall behind you. Exhale, come down. Inhale, arms out like airplanes. Exhale, come down. Try over your head if you think you can. Inhale. And come down and come all the way to standing, whatever arms you like. And exhale down. All right, so we just did a whole lot of work on whole back body. I want to play with quads. And this isn't the favorite. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not the favorite. We're going to start with lunges. And I want you to set yourself up. I'm going to show you two ways. If you took my power muscle class, you already know this, but I'm going to teach it today anyway. You can use your weights if you like. We're pretty warmed up. So I'm just going to grab both my weights. So the first way is to take your right leg back, but not really far. You can see I don't have a big step. All right. So, and this leg is going to stay pretty light. So I got the same hand. Whoops. I got the same hand and the leg back. All right. So we're going to think about putting this weight on the floor. You're going to bend both knees and you're going to come down. And you're going to come back up. And if you're stronger and want to, push it over your head. Down. Up. So this is a modified lunge. We're not isolating the quadriceps, but we're able to get them involved a little bit more because we can go down farther. And this is a functional movement. You do this a lot throughout the day, you just don't realize it. You pick something up and then you put it up in the closet. You pick something up and you put it up in the closet. Let's do one more. All right, now stay where you are. And we'll do a traditional lunge with hands close to the chest. So I want you to take your leg further back. This front knee stays right over this front ankle. Now all the work's going to be in this back leg. Belly button to spine, ribs in, chest open. Then only the back knee. And up. Now we're isolating this quadricep of the back leg by keeping the body upright. Keep the weight close to you so that you're not overtaxing any of the core muscles right now. Go as low as you can go. You don't have to touch the floor. Come back up, pull that belly button with you. Down. Pull it up, squeeze. Let's do one more. And up. Good. Step forward. Talk to this leg a little. All right. So you see the difference? They're different. One's a little less quad, but it's still involved. The second one's all quad. Let's change sides, change hands. So you start in that upright position, you take your other leg back and you find that shorter stance where most of your weight's in the front leg. And you could call this a one-legged squat also. Keep your shoulders on your back, core body engaged, and then I'm going to put this down on the floor. Both knees bend and come back up. Both knees bend and up. And then if you want to, you can send that weight over your head. And shoulder up, down, press, up, overhead. So the overhead motion is an addition. Our bodies need to know how to function with weight over their head. How many people they fly in an airplane and they want to keep their carry-on, but they can't get it up over in the overhead bin. I see that happen all the time. All right, hold yourself up. Hands at your chest. Take the longer stance. And then this knee, it'll bend and straighten a little, but it stays over the ankle pretty much. Ready? Back knee bends. Back leg straightens. Think all the work is in your back leg. Think about that. And up. Down. So earlier we were talking about kettlebells. These are more weight training specific exercises. Kettlebells are more dynamic. You'd be doing it much faster, much more powerful. One more. Down and up. Good. Step forward. Give that leg a little love. How'd that feel? All right, so there's the difference. Quads are usually, unless you're a specific weight trainer, quads are usually weaker. And it has to do with knee health. Alrighty. So now we're going to add on. I want you to go back to your first side. You're going to take it to your chest first. Take your foot back like you did that earlier one. And now we're going to do a one-legged hinge. So this leg isn't going to do anything. The standing leg is in the hinge position. The chest is up. And you're going to hinge down and hinge up. One-legged hinge. Hinge down. Keep the shoulder blades engaged. All right, we're going to do one more. We're going to stay down there. So hold here. Don't change anything. See if you can lift this back leg. Just float it off the floor. Now, if you can do that, try to lower it and lift at the same time. And come down and lift the leg at the same time. This is moving warrior 3. And the reason I have you holding the weights is because it just gives your body a little extra. One more time. Lift. And lower. I got pretty wobbly on that. Just want to shake it up. All right. What leg did you have in front? Put your weight in that hand. If you want to put your block back in between your legs, you can. I'm not going to for this round. Core body engaged. So think heels up, heels down, curl up, curl down. Okay, so the curl is optional. And you're trying to stay really stable. So this is just a stabilizing movement, working again on the calves. And lift. So my granddaughter is doing preliminary soccer drills for tryouts next week. She's a tiny little waif of a thing, but she's actually developing a lot of muscle in her upper body. She can do 100 push-ups and 100 crunches. And her legs look like rocks, right? And then we were talking about her calves. And I said, how's your calves? Surprisingly, they weren't all that strong. I said, you better work on those, girlfriend. Good. All righty, and rest. Change sides. Do this side. Curl. And down. Because if your calves aren't strong and your quadriceps are super strong, there's an imbalance there, right? Just like your hamstrings and your glutes. If they're not strong, but your quads are super strong, there's an imbalance. Up, down, up. And try, if you don't have the block, keep thinking about the energy of the legs moving inward and the pelvic floor in the lower core really being engaged. And up and down. So I will tell you, if you have the block, it's a little easier to do calf work than if you don't. And if you want to develop your calves, a really great tool is just to stand on the edge of a step. Go ahead and pause. All right, so the weights are going to come back up to your chest, and you're going to take the other leg back now. So, whatever leg. All right, so we're going to hinge again. Core body's engaged, box is stable. You're going to hinge, and you're going to stand. So you've got to check yourself out, because you'd be surprised how often everything goes off kilter, because that's what our body knows. And when we go into something that's different, you have to slow down and you actually have to be very mindful. Now hold down and just see, can you float this leg up? If so, when you hinge, you can lower the leg. And when you lower, you can lift the leg. All right, so that's a challenge. Floating warrior 3. Down. And one more time. Up. And all the way to standing. Nice job. Let me check my time. All right, we're good. Go back to weights in single hands. Actually, no, go back to weights in one hand. So I've got my weights in my right hand. I'm gonna put my right leg back into that super light one-legged hinge, and I'm gonna hinge over and I'm gonna stay here. Shoulders on your back. I'm gonna take my other hand on my lower back just to remind myself. And you're gonna do one arm row here. Row. If it feels too hard, soften your knee and be like in a little mini squat. Both of those are right, nothing's wrong. So I'm gonna do that today. So my back leg is super light. Down. Keep thinking about engaging from the inside out. Down. And up. And down. Hold the up position, bring your feet together, stay where you are, bend the knees, and extend. Back. Extend. Back. So we've got double weight, making this harder. Push. In. One more time. And then we're gonna come all the way to standing. Switch hands, other leg goes back. Hinge or little squat. Row down, pull and row up. So I'm using this little squat just because I could feel I was about done with the hinge. My body said, don't do any more of that. So then you do a little squat because your body knows this movement more. A little bit stronger, more muscles are involved. Last time. And row, hold the row. Bring your feet together and then kick back the arm and come to center and push and come to center. 4 and in, 3 and in, 2, 1 more. Good. Now bring your weights to your chest and just squat and lower the weights, get them off the mat. Put your hands down for that full plank. There's a final challenge here with this. So we did the plank first. We got ourselves organized that way. Then we separated our feet and let's drop the heels to the left this time. And we got organized this way. And if you're stronger and you want to, you pick up your right arm. So now I'm working really hard on the left lateral side of my body. And if I wanted to get super fancy, I could lift this other leg off the floor. Lower the hand and come back to center plank. No dog pose for you yet. Shoulders on your back and go the other way. Don't let your hips drop. You can stay here, or the challenge is to take the left arm up. Keeping the underside of your body lifting. So you're using your obliques and your outer leg and maybe lifting up that top leg. I'm not going to do it on this side. Exhale, lower down. Knees up or down for full chaturanga to the floor. Walk your feet backward. Shoulders on your back, raise up. Hands back, maybe clasp them this time. Lift the feet. Nice long neck. Really feeling and sensing the whole back body. It's a really nice rebalancing action for the back after all that forward bending. Exhale, hands to the mat, right at your ribs. Shoulders on your back. Lift the belly. Push up and go to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. All righty. When you're done with that 3rd breath, go ahead and put your knees on the floor. I fooled you. And then rest back in child's pose. 3 more breaths. Take a moment. All righty. Let's come to seated position. Let your legs be out in front of you. And again, if you want, you can use your block. This is another opportunity. I'm going to put you in the same position that you've been standing up in. So block in between your legs if you like. Squeeze the legs, and you'll want to fall over backwards. And so what you need to do, if you feel that way, is to sit up on the edge of a blanket, shoulders on your back, push. So you're in Dandasana. And ask yourself, wow, that feels really hard. What if I bend my knees a little? Does that feel easier? Can I sit up with this long spine? Remember, when we were standing, you had that choice. When you're sitting, you have that choice. So if you straighten your legs and you fall backward, you have to bend your knees. Or sit up on a little block, a little blanket. Keep your arms out in front of you, shoulders on your back. Keep squeezing the block, and you're going to lean backward. Lean backward. Find the edge of where you feel like you're going to lose it, and then stop right there and breathe. Turn the palms up. Inhale, come all the way to standing. Lift your arms up, and then go back to where you were. Did you hear me? Come all the way to standing. Come all the way to seated. Inhale, lift up. And exhale. And I want you to imagine that lift up is like a scoop. You're like scooping the air and bringing it up, and you're going to throw it behind you. Lift and reach, scoop and throw. You want to feel your upper back engage. Last time, lift and hold this one now. So you thought the leaning back was the hardest one, but this is actually harder. If you feel too hard on your shoulders, widen your arms, bend your elbows. If that's still too hard, bring your arms back in front of you. All right. Keep squeezing the block. Thumbs go to the wall behind you. Heart is lifting, lifting. Exhale, elbows in your back pockets if your hands are up. Actually, you could do it if your hands are on front too. Exhale, elbows in your back pockets. Inhale, squeezing block. Exhale, hands in your back pockets. Bring your arms back in front of you, lean back. If you feel like you're stronger, you could lift your legs. Yes, I have the block. One more breath, eyes and feet are level if you're here with me. Then lower the feet and lower your body. Take a breath, bend your knees, maybe rock your pelvis. You can always get rid of the block. Last one here. You're going to keep your body in neutral. So remember, not flat back, not overly extended, but somewhere in the sweet spot. Ribs and hip bones are engaged. You feel like there's a corset wrapped around you. Bring your knees up, bring your feet up. So none of this should change. I'm in the exact same position I was in sitting and I was in standing. Soften your knees if you've been doing it that way all along. Hold on to your mat, hold the edges of your mat, and try to rip it apart, rolling your shoulder blades underneath you. Now you can stay here, or you can start to lower the legs. Don't move your core. Now this is pretty hard, so you do what you need to do. Maybe you're just going to hold the up position. We're going to try 3 of these, keeping the shoulder blades on the back, everything in neutral. Squeezing the block is the hardest part, all the way down if you're doing it with me. And back up. Bend your knees, take the block away, and let your knees switch side to side. So if you have the cork blocks like I do, that's work. And sometimes those little foam blocks, if you have the really old ones that are skinny, they're actually super hard to use because they're so thin. You could turn it, I should have told you this in the beginning, you could turn it so that it's in the wider thickness. Some of you might need it. But the new, more current blocks that are made are thicker and they work a little better. Breathing side to side, letting your legs go. All right. Last motion here. Come back to center. You can put the block again if you want between your legs. I'm kind of done with the block. And I'm going to take my weights. You could do 1 weight or 2. I'm going to do 2. We're going to do a 1-arm fly to challenge the bilateral parts of the body, so the symmetry. So feet are on the floor first, shoulders are on your back, your one arm is down on the floor, the other arm comes up, shoulders on your back. So level one, arms come open, away from the body, and comes back up. And you can use one weight or two, you don't have to use a weight. Pay attention to what your core body is doing. If this feels super easy, the next level up is feet off the floor. You don't have that extra stability to help you with your feet down. And if you're sort of in the middle, I would go back to the one that you can do well. Don't make yourself do it wrong or incorrectly, because the body will do what it's trained to do. My dog trainer says the dog will only do as well as you educate it and the environment you put it in, right? It's not the dog's fault that it barks all the time. And so I think about that with our bodies. It only is going to do as well as the environment and the things you ask it to do, and you never want to go past that level of success, right? You want to stay with success. All right, feet down if they're up, hands down, switch your hands around. And don't assume each side's the same. So I would check yourself out, shoulders on your back. And then you're going to take that one arm and go laterally away from your body and come back up. And what you'll feel is there's a little tug on the opposite side of the body to want to twist over. And you're trying to keep everything stable. Now, again, if it feels like, oh, that's really easy, I think I could do that. You could lift just one leg up, or you could lift both. Now, this side for me is actually a lot harder. I must have a little imbalance going on. So I'm going to put one foot down just to see. No. How about the other leg? And this is what you do. You create a little bit of a curiosity, like what works, what doesn't. There, that's a little better. So I want my body to be successful. I want to have this action be as close to perfection as I can. And I don't want to do it incorrectly, because that's just going to teach my body how to do it incorrectly. And then if you want, you can put 2 feet down on the floor, creating more stability. This is your last round. And up. Terrific. Put your weights down. Get them out of the way. Take your arms, if you can, to cactus. If you can't, arms are straight like a T. I want you to bring your hips over to the right. Put your left leg down. Bring your right leg up and cross over. This is where I grab a block and put it underneath my crossed over leg. And I want you to focus on the chest. We were just working there. So if you go over so far that your arm is dangling, you're not going to get a good stretch. So find a way that you can be here. You might actually come back a little. See where you go. You take 3 nice healthy breaths here, making sure your arm feels a nice stretch. Maybe bend the elbow if your arm will do that. Good, come back to center. Bring your hips over to the other side, stretch down your right leg, lift up your left and cross over. Again, remember, use whatever prop helps you. And there's a little trick here when you do a twist. A lot of times if you're twisting to the right, your right shoulder feels a little congested. So if you pick it up and kind of squish it over a little bit to the right, it helps the left shoulder to get lower. And then play with your arm. Bend it, straighten it, lift it. Find the stretch in your chest muscle. Sometimes you can feel it like in this big, thick band under your armpit. Good, and then come back to center. Bring your hips back into the middle. Bend both legs, and then rock your pelvis a little bit. So let's take your left leg down, bring your right knee into your chest. Give it a nice hug. You might even want to rock around or roll it a little bit. We did a lot of hip work, a lot of glute work today. Stretch your arm, leg up, so hold the leg behind. And I don't want the knee bent now. I really do want the leg straight. Flex the foot, point the foot. Flex. And point. And flex. And if you can't feel that, when you pull your toes back, there's a nice healthy calf stretch going on in there. Last one. Now you can flex your foot and keep it here, or if you want, you can slide your hand up, lift your chest up, and lift your leg up. So this is a longer, deeper stretch. Keep the foot flexed. Keep the breathing even. You don't have to be lifted at all. I can feel that go all the way up into my top of my hamstring. And then release and come back to center. Right leg down, left leg in. Stretch, pull. Again, give it a little squishy squish. And then take the leg up, hold it behind the thigh, push the leg into the hand so that it straightens, and then flex and point your toes. Flex and point your ankle, I'm sorry. Breathing. And then take your foot and flex it back, hold it there, either stay here, or you can slide your hand up towards your ankle, lift your bottom leg a little bit off the floor. You're kind of hanging out here like a, can't think of the word I want. You probably know. One more breath. Exhale, knees to chest. Bring your head back down on the floor, give them a little hug. Now roll over onto your right side. Let your body just kind of rest on its right side. I want you to pick up your left leg and bring the leg back. So we're doing a quadricep stretch specifically to the left side. The right leg's just on the floor resting. And it should feel nice. You did some quad work today. Tailbone down, heart up, knee moves away from you. Good. And then go ahead and release, let go of it. Switch your sides around. Laying on your left side. Bent knee on the bottom, top leg you hold, and you bring the knee back until you feel a nice healthy stretch. Tailbone roots down, so the tailbone and the knee are trying to go in the same direction. So again, if your quads are tight, that tight and weakness, remember they go together. You want to have that pliability, that juiciness, where the muscle can actually contract and then it can actually relax, and they've got this balance. Last week I talked a little bit about that. And then come back to center. Come all the way onto your back one last time. Cross your right ankle over your left knee and give your legs a little fold for a upside down pigeon pose. Again, we did a lot of hinging and a lot of squatting. So these muscles deep in the hip get a little bit overworked. Don't overstretch though, that's a real big problem. And then exhale, lower your foot and just switch your sides. Again, don't assume one side's the same. Flex your top leg foot, keep your knee open. I like the weight on my sacrum, not on my lower back. So find that. I'm always a little bit tighter on my one side. One more breath. And then lower the legs. Pick the pelvis up, give it a little reset. Lower the pelvis. And then knees to chest. All right, find Shavasana. Once you find Shavasana, lying all the way down in whatever way is best for you. Remember the props are helpful. Maybe a sandbag or a blanket over your pelvis. Something over your eyes, maybe. Take a nice deep breath and let your body settle onto the floor. Take a deeper breath. And slowly, slowly starting to awaken yourself from the inside out. When you feel like you're ready, you can start to move and stretch. And bringing yourself back to your body, back to the room around you. Rolling to a side, slowly make your way up to sitting. And once you're seated, let's bring the hands together at the heart. As we did in the beginning, thumbs touch the breastbone. You're going to gently slide the thumbs up. Feel the floating of the rib cage as the shoulders release and the head bows. As always, in gratitude for our time together on the mat, our deep body wisdom and guiding light. May our light always shine brightly, and may we always see the light in each other. Namaste.